Henrietta Treyz joins us here, Managing Partner and Director of Economic Policy at Veda Partners. She's down there in New Orleans, as they say. Henrietta, what are your expectations and the expectations of the people you talk to about this coming up summit with President Xi in China?
Hey guys, my expectations are much like yours, pretty low. I think Secretary Bessent and Ambassador Greer have been planting that perception for not just weeks, but months now, even before the Iran war started. I would call attention, like your previous guest, to Secretary Bessent, who is the first time a Treasury Secretary is going to be leading a delegation like this since Hank Paulson during the Great Recession. For all of us who remember what that was like and the coordination that was needed around the globe. So I'm really expecting, if any gains are going to be made, and it's not just a maintenance of the status quo, I suspect it'll be on the soybean deal that he reached in 2025. I think that's going to be where the bulk of the focus is. And what I think is also important to note and dovetail in here is the election. And the fact that the president really needs to bolster farmers going into the midterm election cycle. There's been some back and forth on the beef tariffs just in the last 48 hours. You can see it. And the Senate Agriculture Committee is having a hearing on the price hikes to fertilizer, which are huge for farmers at 3 o'clock today. So that's an indication to me that we're really going to be concentrated on the soybean component here.
That's so interesting, linking what we're going to see the next 2 days with the upcoming midterm elections and, of course, the politics of it at home. Paul and I were talking about how Jensen Huang will not be part of the U.S. delegation to China. Clearly, he is still on very good terms with the White House because he attended the state dinner for King George earlier this month. And we know that there's been a lot of back and forth about the U.S. agreeing to allow shipments of NVIDIA's AI chips to China. That has been allowed, the H200 chips, but I don't know if China will allow its companies to buy those chips. What signal does Huang's absence on this visit send to Beijing?
I think it's really bolsters my argument that this is going to be more on agriculture, if there's going to be any gains. I'll layer on to focus on chips and also critical minerals and rare earths. We've reached an agreement on those components, and I expect that the goal here is really to reaffirm our commitment to honoring those prior commitments. And one of the things I'd also stress, just not to pivot away too much, but to stress how urgent the agriculture piece is. The farmers in the United States had a 46% increase in bankruptcies in 25. That's a direct result of the trade war launched with China in the president's first term. If you remember the phase one trade deal that USTR Lighthizer reached with Vice Premier Liu He in the White House in February, I want to say, before the 2020 election, their focus was on soy. And it makes a lot of sense to keep the focus there because during the phase one deal, Lighthizer negotiated a deal that would get China to buy, per my calculations, about 142 million tons of soybeans over 2 years in that phase one deal. And to put it into perspective, the deal that Bessent reached last year was for 87 million over 4 years. So the farmers really are the story. The chips are what I think the coterie of CEOs and lead like Dina Powell for, focus on AI and focus on the arms race between the U.S. and China in terms of maintaining AI superiority. They're definitely there for that. But the core underpinning for the United States has got to be on the ag sector. And I think it is for Secretary Bessent specifically.
Henrietta, we got another inflation print today. CPI came in at 3.8%, up from 3.3% last month. If I'm at the Republican National Committee, I got to be getting really, really nervous as I think about midterms. What are you hearing from your contacts?
Yeah, so nervous that you're considering putting a gas tax holiday on the floor of the Senate, which is pretty something. If you went through the 2022 and post-pandemic era when gas prices were at relatively high rates up in the $4 range, there were proposals from a host of Democrats who have proposed them again to have a gas tax holiday. And Republicans, to a man, rejected the idea. Leader Thune, Josh Hawley, and a whole host of others. And you can see it in the lobbying community, in the tax community, people talking about how subsidizing when we really need to be dealing with demand destruction, given the structural problem of the Strait of Hormuz being closed, is not going to resolve this. An 18.4-cent holiday is not going to fix this problem. So I think that the shift you're seeing from President Trump saying, hey, I support this idea, suggests that Republicans are extraordinarily anxious, and they should be. Price of gas is exorbitant. Airline headline prices are up 20% year over year. And, it's moving faster than wages. So they can't afford that narrative going into the election.
Do you expect any kind of fireworks from the ascension of Kevin Warsh to Fed chair by the end of this week? Any last minute curveballs?
I don't. Fingers crossed. I think we've had enough curveballs where the Federal Reserve is concerned, and I don't think they're used to curveballs in general. So I'm hopeful that everything is copacetic and fine and we move forward here. I think the obvious problem for Warsh is that you're not going to be in a position to cut interest rates with inflation spiking like this.